This is the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent, and in this video, we'll be testing its ease of setup, ease of takedown, spaciousness, comfort, ventilation, and more. I bought this 4-person pop-up tent from Amazon, and it comes with the tent, carry bag, stakes, guidelines, and instructions. I'll put affiliate links below if you want to check this out. Setting up this Coleman 4-person pop-up tent is as simple as just taking it out of the carry bag, removing the black strap across the tent, and popping it open. This takes just 15 seconds. If you want to, you can stake down the tent, but first I highly recommend zipping the window and door up. After that, stake down the left with 3 stakes, stake down the right with 3 stakes, and guide both sides out with the 2 pre-attached guidelines. This takes another minute and 15 seconds, so altogether the entire setup can take as little as 1.5 minutes once you're used to it. Packing up the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent is slightly more difficult though. First, remove all the stakes and guidelines, then unzip both the window and door panels. Then, pick the poles up and fold the tent until it looks like a taco, then stand it up on one end. This takes about 1 minute. With one hand, grip the middle of the taco. With your other hand, reach out as far as possible to this end of the taco and fold it down towards you. Quickly kneel on the ground using one of your knees to press down on that end that you've just folded in. Then push the rest of the poles down and together until the tent folds back into this smallest circle. Place a black strap back across the tent and pack it up along with the stakes. This takes another minute, so the entire pack up takes just 2 minutes for me. If you don't use these stakes and guidelines, it'll take about 1.5 minutes. For spaciousness, I looked at the base area as well as the height inside the tent. The longest length of the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent is about 9 feet and 1 inch, while the longest width is about 6 feet and 8 inches. Because the base area isn't rectangular but oval in shape, when I tried inflating a few sleeping pads inside the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent, the maximum number I could fit was only 3. This is what my X-Bed Megamet Duo 10, which is a double sleeping pad, and my Sea to Summit pad, which is a single sleeping pad, looks like inside the tent for a maximum of 3 adults. But you do get space for gear. Or you could fit 2 adults and 2 kids inside the tent with not much space left over for gear. This is what an almost queen-sized camping mattress would look like inside the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent. There's more than enough space for a queen mattress with lots of room left over for gear. However, there's no vestibule for your footwear. The peak height at the center of this 4-person tent is about 39 inches. When I sat down on my X-Bed Megamat, which has about 4 inches of loft, my head never touched the top of the tent even when I sat upright. On the Alps Queen mattress though, which is 6 inches thick, my head touches the mesh at the top of the tent when I sit upright. I would recommend no more than 6 inches in height if you're planning to use an air mattress in this Coleman 4-person pop-up tent. Of course, the lower your pad or mattress, the more livable space you'd have. For comfort and features, I looked at the door, window, and storage options. The Coleman 4-person pop-up tent has a single door at the front length of the tent. It measures about 41 inches in length and 35 inches in width. If you don't want to use a door, you can just zip up the window mesh panel instead for more ventilation, and this inner window measures about 35 inches in length and 17 inches in width. Both the door and window have 2 zippers each, and each zip can be opened from both the outside and inside. The Coleman 4-person pop-up tent comes with these latches that you can use to tie both the door and window up for maximum ventilation. If you want to use only the window, you can tie the door up with the same attachment, and if you want to use only the door, I usually tie the window up like this. There's one pocket inside this pop-up tent which is split into 2. The pocket measures about 17 by 8 inches. There's no lantern loop inside the tent, but you can hang a lantern up using the window and door latch attachment. You can hang a lantern up with both the window and door open, with just the door closed, or with just the window closed. You can also use the zipper to hang your lantern if you want to, but personally, I'd rather not put too much strain on the zipper. For ventilation, I looked at hot day and rainy day options. On a hot day without any rain, you can take off the rainfly entirely without even having to remove the guideline stakes. To remove the rainfly, all you have to do is to unhook the 4 S-hooks at the front of this Coleman 4-person pop-up tent, like so, then undo the Velcro attachments near the guidelines and then sweep the rainfly to the back, like this. At the back of the tent, you can tie the rainfly up using these attachments, or you can leave it like this. However, you cannot remove the rainfly entirely because it is attached directly to the tent. On a hot day with the rainfly removed and the door completely opened, there's actually quite a bit of ventilation from the ceiling mesh and the door. However, on a rainy day, you do need the rainfly to be in place and the door to be closed. There are also no vents, so there's hardly any ventilation when it's raining. I put this Coleman 4-person pop-up tent through about 10 minutes of light to moderate rain, which looked like this. I noticed a small pool of water on the rainfly, but it doesn't look like it'll be a big issue. After the 10 minutes of light to moderate rain, I found that while most of the tent body was still dry, a little bit of water started seeping in through the white fabric near the bottom of the tent. It felt slightly damp to me. Also, I noticed that all around the tent flooring, some water started leaking through the holes of the seam. Thankfully, it was taped, and the seam tape prevented most of the water from leaking in through the seam, but it looks like it'll probably leak soon naturally. Also, I noticed a small spot of water actually leaked through the seam tape right here. I also tested my Coleman 2-person pop-up tent through heavy rain, and I'll link the full rain test video on my channel here. For wind protection, the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent has only 2 guidelines. When I guyed out the tent and tried to shake it, it wasn't the most stable, but it was okay. The peak height isn't too high, so it would probably be able to take light to moderate winds. For quality, the flooring of this Coleman 4-person pop-up tent doesn't feel like polyethylene, and my guess is that it's polyester. It doesn't seem very thick, and it also doesn't have a bathtub feature, so it has less rain protection. The rest of the tent is made of 68D polyester. Most of the seams have been seam taped, like all these seams here, except for the seams of the ceiling mesh as well as the door. But weirdly enough though, some water managed to seep through the seam tape, like this taped seam here connecting the flooring to the tent body. The stitching was double stitched and okay for the most part, but there were some parts that don't seem as well stitched. Plus, I found loose threads as well. The zippers don't feel super smooth, and I noticed some tension while trying to zip the door and window up. This is why I highly recommend staking the tent only after you've already zipped the door and window up, so you don't add more tension to the zips. The poles are made of fiberglass, and I've been using this tent lightly over the past couple of years with no issues at all. The carry bag is pretty good quality. It's the perfect size for the packed up tent. For portability, I looked at weight and packed size. This Coleman 4-person pop-up tent has a packed size of 36 by 36 by 5 inches and weighs about 7 pounds for just the tent and carry bag alone. The 8 stakes weigh about 1.2 pounds separately, so 8.2 pounds altogether. For a size comparison, here's what it looks like beside a Coleman 2-person Sundome tent, as well as a 32-ounce Nalgene bottle. For pros, I found the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent super easy to pop open. It takes just 15 seconds if you don't stake it down and use the guidelines. It's also really easy to pack up. What I like even more is that even though the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent is quite a bit bigger than the 2-person version, the setup and takedown process is almost exactly the same and takes me almost exactly the same time. This Coleman pop-up tent also has a decent amount of ventilation on hot days because of the ceiling mesh, and I also found it very affordable. If you found this helpful so far, please help me hit that like button, thank you, and I really appreciate it. As for cons, it doesn't stand up to rain at all. After just 10 minutes of light to moderate rain, the bottom of the white fabric felt a bit damp, and also water started seeping in through these seams here. While I really liked that I could fit a queen-sized mattress inside this Coleman 4-person pop-up tent with plenty of room left over for gear, so perfectly comfortable for 2 people, I think another con is that it's definitely not a 4-person tent, even if you sleep shoulder to shoulder. At best, it's a 3-person tent with some room for gear, of course. Also, this tent only has one pocket, which is split into 2, but still, it's really tiny for a 4-person tent. The quality is okay, but definitely not the best. I found that some parts of the Coleman pop-up tent weren't as well stitched, and there were loose threads too. The flooring seems a bit thin, and I also noticed some tension while trying to zip the door and window up. But overall, I think you do get what you pay for and more. It's a perfectly functional tent for a very affordable price, and I found that this Coleman pop-up tent is definitely a great budget option for backyard camping in the summer with clear skies. I got plenty of use out of this Coleman 4-person tent over the few years that I've had it, and I would recommend it. How does this Coleman 4-person pop-up tent compare to other pop-up tents or other Coleman tents? Well, don't worry, because I've already done comparison for you in these videos. I'll put them up when they're ready, so do check those out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see ya in the next one.